Hello and welcome to Edu Sathi's lecture on probability. This is the second video lecture and has only the practice questions on the concepts which we've already discussed in the first video. Let's look at the first practice question. From a pack of 52 cards, 4 cards were picked such that the cards picked were not replaced and were picked one by one. What is the probability that the cards were all kings? So I pick up the card one by one. So when I have to pick up the first king, what is the probability? 4 by 52. Because for the first king, it has 4 choices, can be of any suit, and the total number of cards are 52. For the second king, I have just 3 kings now left in the pack out of a total of 51 cards. So the probability is 3 by 51. Similarly, for the third king, I now just have 2 kings left in the pack out of total cards of 50, and for the fourth king I have just 1 king now left out of a total of 49. Now if you remember from PNC, I have to choose the first king and the second king and the third king and the fourth king, and whenever we have this and sign we multiply. The same holds true in case of probability. So my final answer is 4 by 52 multiplied by 3 by 51 multiplied by 2 by 50 multiplied by 1 by 49. So this is the required probability. Let's look at the second question. From a pack of 52 cards, 4 cards were picked such that the cards picked were replaced and were picked one by one. What is the probability that all the cards were king? So for this first card, again I have 4 cards in the pack out of a total of 52 cards. So the probability is 4 by 52. For the second card, now since the card has been replaced, so the first king again has gone into the pack. So again I have a total of 4 kings in the pack out of a total of 52 cards. Similarly, for the third king, I have 4 by 52, and for the fourth king as well, I have 4 by 52. So I have to choose the first card and the second and the third and the fourth. So again, what is my answer? 4 by 52 raised to power 4. This is the required probability. Let's look at the next question. Again, from a pack of 52 cards, 4 cards were picked such that the cards picked were picked at once. So now I am not drawing card one by one, I am picking them at once. What is the probability that all 4 were kings? So I know the total number of kings in a pack of cards is 4, and I have to pick up 4 cards. So there is just one way I can pick up all these 4 cards, or 4c4 out of 4 kings I have to pick up 4 kings. Total number of cards in a pack are 52. So the total number of cases is 52c4. Out of these 52 cards, I can pick up any 4 cards. So probability is number of favorable cases divided by total number of cases. So what are the favorable cases here? Out of 4 kings, I have to pick up all 4 kings. So 4c4 divided by, I have to have the total number of cases. So I have 52 cards, out of which I have to select 4 cards. So 52c4. So what is my answer here? 1 divided by 52c4. This is my answer. I hope you are able to spot the difference between the first 3 questions here, and even in the examination, carefully look at what the question is asking you. Let's try another question. An urn contains 6 red balls, so I write 6R, 10 blue balls, 10B, and 8 white balls, so 8W. Find the probability if 2 balls are drawn at once, not one by one, at once, such that both balls are blue. So how many blue balls I have? 10. I have to select 2 out of 10, so 10c2, any 2 blue balls can come. These are my number of favorable cases. What are the total number of cases? The total number of balls are 6 plus 10, 16 plus 8, 24. So I have 24 C2. Selecting 2 balls out of 24 balls is my total number of cases. So this is the answer to the question 1 here. 10C2 divided by 24C2. I'm not going into the calculations what will be the final answer. I'm just trying to explain you the concept. So let's look at the second question here. One is a red ball and the other one is a blue ball. So I have 6 red balls, and out of these 6 red balls I have to select one ball. So 6C1 multiplied by, I need to have one blue ball. So I have 10 blue balls, out of which I have to select one blue ball. So it is 10C1 divided by, since two balls are drawn at once, so I have 24C2 again. So this is my answer to the second question. Let's look at the same question with a little twist. An urn contains 6 red balls. Again I write 6 red balls, 10 blue balls and 8 white balls. Find the probability if two balls are drawn one by one such that without replacement, this is the second condition, such that both balls are blue. So the number of ways to select the first blue ball is 10C1 or just 10 out of a total number of how many balls? 10 plus 6, 16 plus 8, 24. So total number of balls are 24 balls. I have to select the first ball. It has to be blue. So 10C1 is the favorable case and 24C1 are the total number of cases. Then for the second ball, I just have 9 blue balls left in the urn. Out of these 9, I have to select one blue ball. The total number of balls are also reduced to 23. So the total number of cases are 23C1. For the first ball, these are the favorable cases and these are the total number of cases. For the second ball, this is for the first ball, this is for the second ball, these are the favorable cases and these are the total number of cases. And since I have to select the first ball and the second ball, whenever we have this and symbol, we multiply. So I have 10C1 divided by 24C1 multiplied by 9C1 divided by 23C1. So this is the answer to the first question here. If you are having problems in understanding why did I multiply, you should go through the video on permutations and combinations. I've discussed in detail when do we use a plus sign and when do we use a multiplication sign. Let's look at the second question. One is a red ball and the other one is a blue ball. So now I have two options. Either the first ball is red and second ball is blue, or what I can have is the first ball is blue and the second ball is red. In both these cases I will have a red ball and a blue ball. So let's find the probability for this first case here. This is case 1 and this is case 2. A red ball out of 10 balls, the favorable cases are 10C1 divided by 24C1, and then I have to pick up a blue ball. Sorry, I have 6 red balls, so this is going to be 6C1. Sorry for that mistake. Blue balls are 10, so I have 10C1. The second ball has to be blue divided by, now there are only 23 balls left in the urn, so 23C1 as it is without replacement here, as you can see. And since I have to select the first ball and the second ball, I have this and symbol here, so I will multiply. So this is my answer to case 1. What is my answer to case 2? I select the blue ball first. So the number of ways to select the blue ball is 10C1 divided by the total number of balls 24C1, and the red ball, so multiplied by 6C1 divided by 23C1, as the first ball has not been replaced. So this is the answer to the second case. Now only one of these cases will occur, either the case 1 will occur or the case 2 will occur. So I have this or word coming up here, and whenever we have an or, we have a plus sign. So what is my final answer? 6c1 by 24c1 multiplied by 10c1 divided by 23c1 plus, I have this plus sign here, 10c1 divided by 24c1 multiplied by 6c1 divided by 23c1. Let's look at the same question now with another twist. So I have 6 red balls, 10 blue balls, and 8 white balls. Find the probability if two balls are drawn one by one such that with replacement both balls are blue. I am drawing them one by one. So the first ball I have 10c1 by 24c1. This is the probability for a blue ball. These are the total number of cases. For the second ball also I have 10c1 here. Why? Because I am replacing the first ball back into the urn, divided by 24c1. Since I have to select the first ball and the second ball, so what is my total probability? 10c1 divided by 24c1 multiplied by 10c1 divided by 24c1. Let's look at the second case here. One ball is red and the other one is blue. So again I can have red ball first and then the blue ball, so RB, or the blue ball first and then the red ball. Let's solve for this. I'll have 6c1 divided by 24c1 multiplied by 10c1. Here again I will have 24c1. Why? Because I'm replacing the red ball again in the urn, so the total number of balls in the urn remain unchanged for the second ball also. Plus, this is case 1 and this is case 2. So I have an OR here, that is why this plus sign. I choose the blue ball first, so I have 10c1 divided by 24c1 multiplied by 6c1 divided by 24c1. So this is my answer to the case 2. So now I've discussed 3 types with this question. Let's move on to the next question. Two factories X and Y produce 200 and 500 items a day. So X produces 200 and Y produces 500. Factory X produces 30 defective items per day. So the number of defective items are 30 here. I'll write D. And the number of defective items here, factory Y produces 50 defective items. So it is 50 here. On a particular day, a supervisor visits the warehouse where the items of both factories are kept and picks up an item. If the item he picked up was defective, then what is the probability that it came from factory X? Now I'll solve this using two methods. One is a 2-minute method and one is a 20-minute method. So if the item picked up was defective, what are the total number of defective items? 80. So it has to be one among these 80 items. What is the probability that it came from factory X? It would be 30 number of favorable cases for the defective item from X divided by the total number of defective items, which are 80. So the answer is 3 by 8. So this was pretty simple. Let's try this with another method. Now if the supervisor picked up a defective item and was found defective, it was either from a factory X or from a factory Y. So if it was from factory X, it means that I need to find out of a total number of 800 items, firstly the supervisor picked up an item from X. So pick item from the factory X and then found it to be defective, and then found it to be defective. Similarly, either he picked up an item from factory Y and then found it to be defective. So if we add these two probabilities, this will give me the probability of the item being defective, P of D. So picking up an item from X, X has 200 items out of a total of 700 items. So 200 by 700 and found it to be defective. So and I multiply by the number of defective items are 30 out of these 200. So I get 30 by 200 plus pick up an item from factory Y. I have 500 by 700. This is the probability of picking up an item from factory Y multiplied by the probability that it is defective. So I have 50 divided by 500 because 50 out of 500 are defective. This is the total probability of finding the item to be defective. This 200 and 200 here cancels out. This 500 and 500 cancels out. So this gives me 80 by 700 as the probability that the item is defective. Now, what is the probability that it comes from factory A? I've already found out this. This is the probability that it comes from factory A, which is 30 by 700. So what is my required answer? 30 divided by 700 divided by 80 divided by 700. So this gives me 30 by 80 as the answer, or in other words 3 by 8, which we simply found out here in just one step. So here we went by the long way. We first picked up an item from X, then multiplied by the probability that it is defective. Similarly, picked up an item from the factory Y, multiplied by the probability that it is defective. This gave me the total probability that the item picked up is defective, which has already occurred, and then I just have the number of favorable cases here that that item is from factory A, and these are the total number of cases. I hope this is clear, but I strongly recommend you to follow this method here. Let's try another question. A box contains 4 red and 8 black balls. So I have 4 red and 8 black balls. Two successive drawings of 3 balls at a time are made each time such that the balls are not replaced once they are taken out. Find the probability that the first draw gives 3 red balls and the second draw gives 3 black balls. So for the first draw, what are the favorable number of cases? I need 3 red balls. So 4 out of 4 red balls, I need any 3, 4C3 divided by what are the total number of balls? 8 plus 4, 12 divided by 12C3. Now for the second draw, 3 balls have already been taken out. So the total number of balls now are 12 minus 3, 9. In this 9, I have 1 red and 8 black balls. I need 3 black balls. So what are the favorable cases? Any 3 out of these 8. So 8C3 divided by 9C3, as the total number of balls have been reduced to 9 since they are not replaced. I have to make the first draw and the second draw. So what is my answer here? Since it's an AND, I'll multiply the two probabilities. I have 4C3 divided by 12C3 multiplied by 8C3 divided by 9C3. So this is my answer. Let's move on to the next question. An arrow is thrown towards a square board. The size of the square board is 10 meters by 10 meters. I'll just draw a square board here. So this is a square board. This side is 10 meters and again this side is 10 meters. Find the probability that the dart strikes the board at a maximum distance of 4 meters from the center of the board. So this is the center of the board and a maximum distance of 4 meters. So this is 4 meters. Now if it has to strike at a maximum distance of 4, so what is the area? The area would be a circle with radius 4 meters. So this circle, I'll just change the ink color. This circle here of radius 4 meters is the required area. It is known that the arrow always hits the square board. So everything hits the square board. The probability of hitting the square board is 1. It will definitely hit somewhere, either here or here or here. Definitely it will hit somewhere. So what is the required probability? We'll just find the areas. The total area, favorable area, is 10 into 10, the area of the square. So I have 10 into 10. What is my required area or the favorable area? The area of this circle of radius 4 meters. What is the area of circle? Pi radius square. So pi 4 square. This is the probability that this dart strikes at a maximum distance of 4 meters from the center of the board. We'll do this question with a slight twist now. An arrow is thrown towards the square board. The size of the board again is 10 meters by 10 meters. I again draw a square. So I have 10 meters and this side is also 10 meters. Find the probability that the dart strikes the board at a maximum distance of 4 meters from the center. So this is the center and I have 4 meters from the center. So what is my required area? My required area is this circle here from the center of the board. It is known that the arrow misses the board 25 times out of 100. So the arrow hitting anywhere on this board is just 75 by 100. It's only 75 by 100 out of 100 times, or 0.75 times the arrow hits the board. Now in the previous question our probability was pi 4 square by 10 into 10. Now this was the answer as the dart always hit the board. So this was actually multiplied by 1 since the probability of hitting the board was 1. But here this total number of favorable cases does not have a probability of 1. It has a probability of 0.75. So if the probability of hitting this big board is only 0.75, so my probability will also reduce from this 4 pi r square, pi 4 square divided by 10 into 10 multiplied by 0.75. So it reduces by 0.25 times. So this is the answer for this case, as the probability of hitting this board is only 0.75. Now this is a slightly difficult question. If 20 people are to be seated around a circular table, what is the probability that 3 of them will always be seated together? So we know that probability is number of favorable cases by the total number of cases. So we'll first find out the total number of cases. As we have to seat 20 people around a circular table, so the number of permutations are 20 minus 1 factorial, which is nothing but 19 factorial. Now let's find out the number of favorable cases here. So for favorable cases, I want 3 of them always being seated together. So I'll consider 3 of them as one identity, as we've discussed in permutations and combinations before. I consider them as one identity. So the number of people now are 20 minus 3 plus 1, because all these 3 are now one identity. So I have 18 people. To seat 18 people around a circular table, that can be done in 18 minus 1 factorial ways. So this is 17 factorial. But these 3 people who are now in one group or one identity can also rearrange themselves in 3 factorial ways. So the number of favorable cases are 17 factorial multiplied by 3 factorial. So what is my probability now? 3 factorial multiplied by 7 factorial divided by 19 factorial. So this gives me 3 multiplied by 2, and here I'll have 19 into 18. Here the 17 factorial and the 17 factorial in the denominator, as this total is 19 factorial. This will straight away cancel out. This gives me 3. So my answer is 1 divided by 57. This is asked a lot of times in examinations. Let's look at this another question, again a difficult one. 3 prizes are to be distributed among 4 students, where any number of prizes can go to any student. Find the probability that exactly 2 students receive all the prizes. Again, we'll start with the definition. Probability is number of favorable cases by the total number of cases. So we first find out the total number of cases. So I have 3 prizes. So I have P1, P2 and P3 as 3 prizes, and 4 students, S1, S2, S3 and S4. Now, since any number of prizes can go to any number of students, so one student can have more than one prizes. So P1 here can go to S1 or to S2, or to S3 or to S4. So P1 has 4 ways of distributing itself. Similarly, P2 also can either go to S1 or to S2 or to S3 or to S4. So I have 4 ways for P2, and similarly I have 4 ways for P3. P3 can go to S1, it can go to S2, it can go to S3 or it can go to S4. So 4 raised to power 3 or 64 total number of ways. Now let's look at the number of favorable cases. In the number of favorable cases, I want that 3 prizes should go to exactly 2 students. So first what I'll do is I'll select which 2 students. So out of 4 students, 2 can be selected in 4C 2 ways. So now I have selected the 2 students. The second thing I have to do is distribute these prizes to these 2 students. So I have to distribute them. So let's suppose the 2 students chosen are S star 1 and S star 2. Again we have 3 prizes. I have P1, I have P2 and I have P3. So now P1 can either go to S1 star or S2 star. So 2 ways for P1. Similarly, P2 can either go to S1 star or to S2 star. So 2 ways for P2. And similarly, P3 can either go to S1 star or to S2 star. So 2 ways for P3. So the total number of ways are 2 raised to power 3 or 8 ways. But in this 2 raised to power 3 ways, there are 2 cases wherein all these 3 prizes P1, P2 and P3 go to student number 1 S1 star, and in case 2 P1, P2 and P3 go to the second student, which is S2 star. So these 2 cases are a part of these 8 cases here. In these 2 cases, instead of distributing the prizes to 2 students, they are just going to one student, S1 star here and S2 star here. So what I'll do is, from this total number of cases, I'll subtract these 2 cases in which only one student is receiving all the prizes. So these are the total number of ways to distribute the prizes to exactly 2 students. So what are my favorable cases here? I have 4C2, selection of students, multiplied by number of ways in which these 3 prizes can be distributed to these 2 students. So these are my favorable case. If I divide this by 4 raised to power 3, this gives me the probability that exactly 2 students receive all the 3 prizes. So this is my final answer for probability here, and you can solve this further. Let's look at the last question for this video lecture. This is also again a difficult question and generally asked. 2 squares are chosen at random on a chessboard. what is the probability that they have a side in common? Now I've drawn a chessboard here. Let's look at the structure. I have 8 squares on each side. I have 8 squares here. I have 8 squares here. Similarly 8 here and 8 here. Now if I choose a corner square, this square has only two sides, has sides common to only two squares. One is this one and one is this one. So I have a total number of 4 corner squares, and it has only two squares with which it has sides adjacent. Now let's look at, so we've already covered, I'll just mark, I already covered these 4 squares. I've already covered these 4 corner squares. Now let's discuss these squares here on this side. Now these side square, if you pick up any of this side square, let's pick up this square. This has this square marked star, this square marked star here, and this square marked star here. With all these 3 squares, it has a side common. It has this side common with this one, this side common with this one, and this side common with this one. So how many squares are there like this? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So I have 6 squares on one side. So on 4 sides I have 6 into 4 is equal to 24 squares. On the sides I'll write a side here which has sides common with 3 squares. So now I've covered all these squares also on the sides. I've covered these squares here and I've covered these squares here. So now I'm left with this internal square. I'll change the color again. So I just have this block here left. This is a square which has 6 squares on each side. So I have 6 here and 6 here. If you take any square in this block, let's take this square, it will have sides common with 4 squares. The squares which have a tick mark. So it has this side common with this one, this side common with this one, this side common with this one, and this side common with this square. So for these 6 into 6, I'll write the center squares. So for this 6 into 6, 36 squares, they have sides common with 4 squares. If you count the total number of squares, I have 4 plus 24, 28 plus 36, a total number of 64 squares. So I've taken into consideration all these squares. So now we are to choose 2 squares. Now if the corner square is chosen, what is the probability of choosing a corner square? 4 divided by 64. And then the second square can be chosen only in 2 ways, because if I choose any one of these corner square, let's say I choose this white square here, then the other square will have a side common only if I choose this square or this square. So only 2 out of the remaining 63 will give me the right probability. So these are the favorable cases and these are the total number of cases. If I choose a side square, that is one lying on this side or on this side, how many such squares are there? 24 divided by the total number of squares, 64. Then if I choose any one of these squares, let's say I choose this color blue here. If I choose this square which is marked blue, I can either choose this black square here, this black square here, or this black square here. Only 3 possibilities and I will have a side common. So I multiplied by 3, which I've already mentioned here. So I have 3 divided by 63, as I have now to make a choice out of 63 squares, as 1 is already selected here. That is why we had 63 here also, because 1 square has already been selected here. Plus now I'm only left out with the center square. So let me choose any one of these center squares. Let's say I choose this white square here. So now out of these 36 squares, so I write 36 divided by 64. Now these 36 squares have only 4 squares with which they share a common side. So if this square is selected, I can have this square, this square, this square, this square. So I have this one and this one here, which have a side common. So I multiply this by 4. If I've chosen a center square, there are only 4 ways I can select the second square which will have a side in common out of a total number of 63 squares which have been left. So if I add all these 3 cases, I have my final answer, which is, if you calculate this on a notebook, you will find out this is 1 by 18. So what is my correct answer option here? The first part. That is all on probability. I hope you enjoyed the lecture.